Hi everyone, I'm Grigory Grin, Chief Developer Advocate at Axinom. And today we are talking about CSMIM, which stands for Cabin Secure Media Independent Messaging. I learned the abbreviation, but I don't know much about the content. That's why I invited today Vladislav Kuzmin. Hi Vlad.
Hello.
He's an expert. Vlad, would you tell a few words about yourself?
Hello, I'm Vlad. I'm leading Axinom onboard cloud product. Axinom onboard cloud, it's a platform which enables airlines to build and manage their own services that work seamlessly across various hardware and options. This also reduces development efforts and time to market.
Very cool. So let's touch on CSMIM. What is actually CSMIM?
CSMIM is an evolving standard. It's developed by ARINC, which is known by its development of good standards since 1929, and they are a major provider of transport communication standards.
Mm-hmm. So, and CSMIM is a protocol, as I understand. What does it regulate?
Yes, it's a protocol. It standardizes communication between various devices and services in the cabin. It's based on object-oriented programming models, so it's built around the data. So it's like you designing a software around the data, where you have objects which can be defined like as data field that has unique attributes and behavior. So it's good for inheritance, for example, and this is same could be applied here.
So how can I imagine that? It's kind of a light sensor, and then you send some measure or click or whatever command to it through CSMIM?
Usually it works like that manufacturer produces some device and it brings like parameters and attributes to it, and then later if same manufacturer or even different manufacturer build some newer device with more functions, it really can extend that object or this sensors or light model, right? So devices which were working before, they will still work with this new device, but the other devices which now know how to work with this extended model could utilize standard model.
Sounds interesting, but pretty abstract. Could you show us some real scenarios possible with CSMIM?
Yes, this could be done with this light, for example. You have some basic light which you can turn on and off, and then later manufacturer produces the light which also can send some metrics, for example, like provide some metrics. For example, how much this light was on, or what kind of color. Maybe light could do some dimming or something, and then it will still work as a basic light. But other devices can utilize that, or who can manipulate some certain other light options, they can then do it with that.
When you tell this, I'm thinking of a smart home with devices inside a house which collaborate.
Exactly. Yes.
Is it something similar?
Yes, exactly. This, if you understand how smart home works, it's analog to that, I would say. So devices communicate to each other. There's some central hub which controls everything, and you can build various scenarios in the smart cabin. So this makes the cabin smart, right? So
Smart
that's
cabin.
how it works. Yes. So it's based on the data which provided by devices, as well as you can trigger something inside the device to do some work.
What would be smart things which can be done with such a technology?
Preventive maintenance could be done. For example, you have something in your cabin which is already needs replacement. So if, for example, you have a seat which has sensor built in, and then you can track or how much it has been used, right? And then you can replace it in time. It's not only seat. It could be a coffee machine, for example. It could be lights. It could be some fire extinguisher, something that that is inside the cabin and that's been used, and then later on you can see how much it has been used and whether it needs a replacement.
Sounds very interesting. Speaking about the details of CSMIM, you explained how it is reusing the object-oriented programming metaphors, but what about the data transfer? Does it use some messaging technology? Does it define its own messaging protocol?
Correct. Yes, it uses messaging. It uses other standards to, for example, like CBOR. This you can think of it as like binary JSON, and yes, it uses MQTT as a backbone. So some messages are transferred using that protocol. And the good thing of that is that Axinomonboardcloud, it's on board and on ground, and this messaging allows also to communicate from on board to the ground and vice versa. So you can send commands to the aircraft, so you can receive data, do business intelligence on ground, and so on.
So Axinom implemented some gateway from an aircraft to the ground.
Yes, correct. The Axinom platform is two parts, one on the ground, one on board, and it's connected with messaging, and it implements CSMIM in the background.
Clear. One of the words in the name is security. So what is so especially secure about the protocol?
Well, first of all, it uses secure transfers in between, right? And then it could implement certain security or like security scenarios, like, for example, life vests, right? So you can build something into life vests which communicate CSMIM and then do again this preventive maintenance with the life vest, which potentially enhances safety, right? So increases security. So that's.
But I hope there is some inner security model built in, or can any device joining the network control any sensor or any other device?
Of course not.
Okay.
Yes. In that terms, of course, device can join the network. It could announce their parameters, but to be able to be taken into the CSMIM network, it has to pass, of course, authorization and several security steps which are described in the standard.
Okay, good. So now we know the basics of CSMIM. Why would you say should airlines use CSMIM?
It is not only for the airlines, but it's also for the manufacturers. Manufacturers are interested to produce more devices which are compatible with the CSMIM, so they can easily pass the acceptance by the airlines. And from the airline perspective, it's easier to build some more scenarios which covers more and more areas like safety or passenger experience.
So it looks really that there are high incentives for the manufacturers, for device manufacturers, to support CSMIM or to start looking into this if they are not doing it yet. Vladislav, do we have at Axinom more information about CSMIM available?
Yes, of course, definitely. We have a white paper on our website, and you can contact me anytime to get more information.
And I've heard you are taking part in the standardization committee. Can you share something about this?
Yes. There is a cabin system subcommittee which is handling such development of the standard, and Axinom is part of it. So we are participating in these meetings, and there are also big aircraft producers like Boeing and Airbus, as well as many airlines, also there in the list. So these meetings are happening quarterly, and yes, these meetings are meant to contribute to the standard and make everybody from different sides happy. I also need to know that there's also like hardware producers as well. They all communicate together and produce a standard which makes happy everyone.
Exciting. Thank you very much for the valuable information. Good luck with your activities in the subcommittee.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who were with us. Hope it was useful. and come join us next time.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.